All right, awesome. I'm going to be bringing a verse today, and I'm going to read over a couple verses. They're found in the book of Luke, chapter 23, verses 6 through 12. And I'll just read this real quick, and as soon as I'm done, we'll start talking about it. Because when Pilate heard of Galilee, he asked whether the man were a Galilean. And as soon as he knew that he belonged unto Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him to Herod, who himself also was at Jerusalem at that time. And when Herod saw Jesus, he was exceeding glad, for he was desirous to see him of a long season, because he had heard many things of him, and he hoped to have seen some miracle done by him. Then he questioned with him in many words, but he answered him nothing. And the chief priests and the scribes stood and vehemently accused him. And Herod with his men of war set him at naught, and mocked him, and arrayed him in a gorgeous robe, and sent him again to Pilate. And the same day Pilate and Herod were made friends together, for before they were at enmity between themselves. And I just wanted to bring this section of the Bible today because something just popped out. This is during the time when Jesus is being kind of paraded around right now. Paraded around, just going from Pilate to Herod, and the Jews have it out. They want to kill him, and they're trying to find somebody to give them that jurisdiction and whatnot. And just the thing that pops out is in verse 8. This for me just seems like something a Christian would do. So we have to realize, we have to find the difference. How much do we know Jesus? Is it enough to just be glad, or to just be happy that you know him? Or are we really knowing him? Are we knowing about him, or knowing of him and knowing more about him, allowing him to change us on the inside? I don't know if I'm twisting those words around, but because in verse 8, Herod was obviously, he was glad. He was glad to see Jesus. Would we be glad to see Jesus? He was longing to see Jesus. But here comes the main thing. The reason was because he sought for a sign. He sought for a miracle. And I'm going to pass this on to Austin, and he can do some further explaining. So, Austin?
Okay. The most I can do is, you gave the principle, I'm going to give historical background. I highly recommend to anybody watching this, and for myself personally, to always at least try your best to put more gospel accounts, because each of them have different information that is significant, and when you put it all together, it paints a really cool picture. The thing to keep in mind was that this was an illegal trial conducted at night, so that it wasn't under official Roman rule. In fact, they were just trying to get the trial over with, and the Jews were really trying just to get him cursed, just whatever they could to him, get Jesus tried and accuse him. As for the application for today's passage, the one thing to draw from is verse 8, and it's actually something that's very common throughout all the Gospels, that you see people, you could compare it to American Christianity. You see people come in droves to see Jesus. You see people hear of amazing things Jesus has done, yet they're not actually there for the right reasons. It's like what I heard on TV today. A preacher in Las Vegas who was talking about people getting healed in his church, and he said he wanted his church to be a come and see church, a church where people can go and get healed, and people just hear about Jesus and leave. But they're missing the point if they're missing the gospel, and the gospel is not about healing your body, but about Jesus healing your soul. And Herod, he wanted Jesus to come to him. It says he was very glad, for he had longed to see him, because he had heard about him, hoping to see some signs done by him. And it's like that. It's like that with God. So often people want to see sign from God with things that don't matter versus a side of God in their soul, which does matter. Like, they're more worried about God with their finances than God helping them with their sin. And we have to fix that. We can't be like Herod, because if we follow Herod's approach, we're going to be, we're not going to treat Jesus as Lord. We're going to treat Jesus as our entertainer. Because Herod wanted to be entertained. So.
That's good. And this is something that hopefully maybe we can do some other time. But just the moral of the story is that you can be happy to know about Jesus, but until you take action and until you start following him, you're going to be just as Herod, and you're just going to be happy to see him because you hope that he can do something for you and some grand miracle that you've been waiting for all your life, something out of the ordinary, but in your perspective. You want God will do something, but it won't be the way you desire it sometimes. But with that, have a good night and
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. God bless.
God bless.